You know, what I'm really starting to realize about the Chainsaw Man anime is it's probably one of the most deeply misunderstood series because it's divided into two factions with a slim third faction trying to make noise but usually getting overshadowed. And it's divided into the oh my god action, which either is used as a hater fueled boner or a shonen tard glazer. And then there's the other half who actually can see the characterization and writing beyond just Denji's a horny idiot, instead of actually looking at who he is as a person, where he comes from, and how, yeah, he does think with his dick, and ultimately that causes him so much misfortune, instead of just dumbing it down to he's a loser teenager. And that third faction can appreciate both sides. It is a real shame because the Reze movie is without a doubt the best content of Chainsaw Man, and one of the best pieces of anime I've watched all year, and I think really flexes just how fucking good this series actually is, but so many people dumb it down to surface level observations, and we ain't gonna do that around here. But I just had to do a special intro because holy fuck was this peak. What the fuck? The only way this got weirder is if he was covered in baby oil when he jumped at us. Is that everyone, male and female, undergoes at least one relationship that teaches them a very valuable lesson about trusting the wrong people. The issue for Denji is that his trusting of wrong people could actually have his balls in a vice grip and pop and left for dead afterwards. So, you know. Honestly, the thing that I like so far the most about this film is actually how, if you really look at the first season of Chainsaw Man, there's way more points than not of thinking Makima is just a fucking psycho, where this shows a different side to her that you don't normally see. That's exactly what school's like. The teacher asks you to say big ass and what's 1 + 1. You got it, Denji. Proud of you. This very sweet scene is then incorporated with a scene of a spider hunting its prey. Denji. See, the interesting thing about the rain is the symbolism that it starts raining when Denji falls for people, or is really thinking about his love. It happened with Makima. It happened here where he gave his heart to her. Holy hell. She's like, I'll make you forget about that bitch. She gave him tongue too. Probably his tongue's ripped off, right? Yup. Genuinely think, had he just accepted, this wouldn't have ever happened to him. I think if he would have gave himself to her here, I think she probably would have actually been loyal. Yo, that's a shot. He's like, nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna Spider-Man. I'm gonna use you in a violent way. You're my steed. Okay. That's fine. That's wonderful. Yep. It's wild though, because I legitimately feel that Reze loved Denji. And as fucked up as it is to say, I think there's an argument to be made, them together might not have been the unhealthiest thing he might end up doing. To the same degree, I don't think it's necessarily wrong for Makima to kill her here. That's what makes the writing in Chainsaw Man so complex. No, hey, if you got this far in the video, make sure you drop a like, show your support, subscribe if you're new around here. If you want to see my full reaction to all the other episodes of Chainsaw Man, this full movie, fully uncut and censored, all that fun jazz, you can catch it over on my Patreon, among other things. But this movie is fucking flawless. I don't throw that word around lightly. I legitimately think this is a perfect film. If you disagree, hey, you obviously are allowed to share your opinions, but don't try to convince me otherwise, because I will not budge. The fact that you have this man Denji, who is legitimately one of the most misunderstood anime characters in the modern age, because usually when people shit talk Chainsaw Man, they dumb him down to just like, oh my god, he falls in love with any woman who smiles at him. Of fucking course he does. This dude, look at where he started in this show. He never had anyone pay him any mind. And whether you're a male or a female, what ends up happening when you haven't properly had relationships or love is you're gonna be convinced the first one who smiles nicely at you or shows you signs of affection is your one true love. Is Makima healthy for him? Fuck no. Is Reze healthy for him? Probably fucking not either. Is Power? She might be the best he's got so far, but in general, this is a man who isn't properly dating and growing and learning, so in doing so, when he goes on movie dates with her, yeah, it's easy to let your guard drop. And I think this is such a powerful moment too, beyond just that simple observation. We learn a lot about Makima. 1 in 10 movies she ends up liking. So she has to see 10 movies. She'll be like, oh, people are laughing at this, I don't find it funny. People are crying over this, I don't. And the movie they end up both really appreciating, and it's really cute because you think, oh man, they actually share the same, like they might actually be good for each other. This film is so good at making you reevaluate your opinions on Makima, only for the end of the film to remind you she is exactly who we think she is. And I think what I mean is, no one should deny the fact that her dying here, there isn't an argument to be made is the right call. Had she got on that train, she probably would have lived. But she came back. I truly believe throughout most of this film, she had feelings for Denji, though I think she was also programmed to, do her mission. But the fact that she wanted to come back and meet up with him, I don't think they would have had a happily ever after. I think they would have broke up someday. But had she not died here and no one hunted her down, I think it could have been the start of Denji properly having relationships start and end. But she came back for him, and she striked her down. Now, there's two sides to this. On one hand, this is Makima looking out for Denji, because there's look at the death she caused in this film. There's no denying her dying could argue as justified. But when you look at it from why she did it, I just think she don't share. And I think it's such a powerful moment because the whole film is about really testing his feelings towards the women in his life. And it's really funny because near the beginning of this film, I thought to myself, Denji, if you're actually going to look at it, if you're going to stick to someone who's in your life, Power is probably the one who's least likely to kill you. Maybe she doesn't know how to wipe her ass. Maybe she doesn't know how to flush the toilet. But I don't get the impression she's going to rip your tongue out when making out, or she potentially could slit your throat while you're doing the deed. She might punch you, but that's about as far as I'm convinced Power would go. And honestly, the fact that Power has this moment where she actually legitimately wanted to be treated like a lady, she wanted the flowers, and Denji's response is, I'm gonna eat them, is such a cute moment because Power isn't even anywhere close to my personal favorite character in this series. I don't think there's really a bad character in this show, mind you. I legitimately see the chemistry here. But the thing about Denji is he's so fucked up because of where he comes from that until he properly heals from a lot of shit, which is why I think him refusing to go with Reze initially and wanting to, because he really realizes that, hey, I have friends that I kind of hate, but I'm learning to adjust with them. Like, he has a life that he's building. Whether or not all of that is nice or not, I think is an argument to be had that no, there's a lot of corruption in his life. But he's legitimately living life as much as he can. But in doing so, he does get taken advantage of a lot. But I don't think Power is one of those characters who does so. And all throughout this film, the symbolism has been on point. One of my favorites is the rain. So when he's thinking about his one true love, Makima, it starts pouring rain. And when initially Reze pops up, it stops raining. So it lets your guard drop that, oh, this girl might be a little better for him. But throughout this film, whether it's spider webs, where a butterfly is getting attacked, caught in the web, or this shot here with the fireworks, which is one of my personal favorites. It looks beautiful, like, oh my god, his heart's melting. She rips his tongue out very shortly after, and I think the transition shot, I think it's a candy apple, if my memory is right. Yeah, this little girl has a candy apple, drops on the ground, obviously is getting covered in dirt and filth, and what ends up happening? It gets stepped on. It gets stepped on, and in return, our boy loses his tongue. And like I was talking about the whole rain scenes and everything like that, and how, for him, he doesn't really see the symbolism because it's very easy to be blinded by what he thinks is love. Because yes, Denji as a character, anyone who treats him nicely, he thinks he's in love with. Now, at his core, I think he's truly convinced Makima's is OTP, but there's no denying the fact that anyone who treats him nice or shows signs of affection, this is what happens. He gets caught in their web. And it's super fascinating watching because this show, its biggest haters and its biggest glazers, they all target the same things. Oh my god, look at the action, which can be seen as it's just a monkey brain show, or oh my god, flashy colors. But then it also does get, I think Denji is one of the most misunderstood characters because online, all I see with people, I'm not saying there aren't analysis channel who focus on really breaking down Denji and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's really unfortunate that Denji gets dumbed down to just oh my god, he's a horny teenager, rather than looking at where he comes from and how much he struggles to understand because he hasn't properly... That's why it's always said to people that everyone has to go through that one heartbreak to experience their own character development so they understand what to look out for and to actually figure out what is and isn't good for them. And I'm not going to spend too much time glazing the animation. I got a full live reaction doing that. But, you know, it's really also interesting because whenever you have more abstract animation such as this, you freeze frame, people nitpick it, be like, oh my god, it doesn't even look. This is some of the most beautiful animation I've seen all year, and it's honestly very reminiscent to the Kizu Monogatari films from Studio Shaft on the Monogatari series. Absolutely gorgeous animation, and just the way they utilize Denji to be like, hey, we're trying to teach you how to Spider-Man whip, and he's like, okay, I'll ride my shark pal. And I'm like, that is the most beautiful fucking thing I've seen this man do. And it's just absolutely incredible. And honestly, I do think it probably has some of the best fire and explosion animation I can recall seeing also since the Kizu Monogatari films. Just the Bomb Devil as a character is super fascinating, and honestly, the fact that all throughout watching the film, you question the fact of, is she actually just crazy? Is there anything genuine? And it's not until that scene of her not getting on the train that you can verify that deep down she did have affection, like the fact that she taught him how to swim. She could have attacked Denji at any point, and maybe you can argue it's just in her character to lure like that. But I honestly think had Denji accepted her love, not only would his tongue not have been ripped out, I truly think he probably would have been safe with her. I do. Now, there's other things that would have been dangerous for him, but I do genuinely think what makes a show like Chainsaw Man interesting is that he even admits in this episode, every woman I meet wants to kill me. But I don't think this would have been the worst one for him. But I also don't think it's wrong to have killed her at the end, even though it's super sad. That's what makes the writing in the show so wonderful, and I think deeply misunderstood among so many, both the Glazers and haters on this. And that's what's really disheartening, because I think the character writing is what I come back to the most for Chainsaw Man. But yes, of fucking course, I have fun watching the hype action, which actually is very thought-provoking in its own way. I could probably glaze this movie for like an hour, if we're being honest. I mean, I technically glazed the whole movie for its entire hour and a half runtime, but you get my point. Let me know what you thought down below on this film. I got to it a bit later than others, but hey, Christmas season, everything, it's busy, but we get to it when we get to it. Let me know your thoughts, and what do you want to see in the next arc going forward. I definitely think this was Chainsaw Man at its best, but your thoughts, drop a like, share your support, subscribe if you're new around here, and you know what, Patreon, full movie reaction, reactions to the episodes, all that fun jazz also goes a long way to help support the channel, fund these videos, so consider supporting if you so wish. Till next time, please take care. Have a good one.